Well, thank you for joining us. So this is sitting on the front porch. We're going to talk about the GRT, the gross receipts tax, and uh, and last time we said that we were going to give you just a little bit of background, a remembrance, just a little bit of a review, and then we'll go into a few things that are new. So the review is. The gross receipts tax is a 5% tax on all goods and services sold in the state, included in the price of whatever is sold, sent in by sellers only, and replaces all other taxes, fees, assessments, permits, and licenses. So this is one tax and it's included in the price of whatever you buy. Uh, we I wanted to show this flow chart here and just walk it through very quickly with you. This is a review from last time. The money comes from the sellers who send it into the Department of Revenue at the state. From there, it goes to fund all of the local and state budgets. Um, and that includes project budgets, what you see is off to the side here. And, uh, and that can be either taxing district projects or state projects. And that money will then be put into a separate interest bearing account, and usually 2 years. And then after that 2 years is up, the project will not only be finished but paid for as well. The rates depending on the project and the amount, and we'll go through a little example of that just in a few seconds. Um, any excess revenue after the state funds are all funded, and the state budgets, and also the budgets for project special projects, those will all be funded. Any excess after that goes into, this is really marvelous, it will go into a stabilization fund. It's like a little savings account and a rainy day account or a safety net, and and that will, excess revenues will go in there until it is fully funded, which will be 2 biennia. So two biennial um, budgets, and then and just as a little side note here, this is a review also. But fines, penalties, and forfeitures go into the stabilization fund. This is to help our make sure that our justice systems remain just. Then after that, any excess revenue will go to pay off bonded indebtedness and get the state out of debt. And then the any excess after that will go to reduce the rate. Um, so this time though, that we're going to concentrate on this part of the project, or of the flow chart, which is project funding. And we have, as it turns out, a perfect example here in Kansas City of project funding. I'll give you a little bit of background on it. Um, uh, Before we go into project fundings, I just want to explain also that that any expenditures outside of the government expenditures for funding the budgets uh, have to be put on the ballot. They have to explain the project. They have to put it on the ballot. They have to estimate the um, amount that it'll increase the gross receipts tax rate, generally a quarter of a percent or an eighth of a percent or maybe a half a percent. Uh, it must be uh, the project at the ballot box must get a concurrent double majority vote. And so for a for a state project, it would be the popular vote plus the county vote. So you have to get two majorities. The reason for that is if you live in Sullivan County like I do, and you only have to worry about the popular vote in Kansas City and St. Louis, I just as well send my vote to Mongolia. because it won't have any effect. However, you have to get a majority vote in the counties to make sure that that both of them get concurrent double majorities. If it's a local project, then it's the popular vote um, plus plus a majority of the precincts. So the subject we're going to concentrate on here today is state and local project funding. These are the things that you have to do for project funding. These are the provisions that are made in the GRT. One is you have to explain to the public what the project is. The second thing is that you have to estimate how much the increase is going to be for the GRT. Generally, these run about 2 years for projects. And the increase in the GRT, because it covers such a vast base for anything that's bought in the state or in the local taxing district, go probably maybe a eighth of percent more on the GRT, or or maybe up to a 0.5%, depending on the size of the project. The next thing it has to happen is it has to go on the ballot, and to go on the ballot, you must get if it's a state project, you must get a majority vote in the popular vote plus the majority of the counties. It's called concurrent double majorities. If it's a district taxing project, then you have to get a majority of the popular vote plus the majority of the precincts in that taxing district. Otherwise, if any one of those fail, then it fails. The money is collected and put in a separate interest-bearing account. Like I said, generally 2 years for the project. The nice thing about it is as soon as the 2 years is up, you will not only have the project finished, but it'll be paid for. Examples, there's an excellent example, and this is serendipitous, in Jackson County right now. And these are the parameters, or this is the story on that. I think you'll enjoy this. The Kansas City Chiefs want their stadium to be refurbished. In addition to that, the Kansas City Royals want a new stadium. So this is called the stadium issue in Kansas City, as it is right now. And it's really important to recognize that if these two teams leave Kansas City, that constitutes a tremendous amount of economic loss. And so they're threatening to leave if these things are not done. So the state came in and said, what can we do to help get this project done? Now that both of those stadiums will be located in Jackson County, and the total amount for both of them to be done is $1.5 billion. So the state, being as magnanimous as they are, was going to put in $1 billion. And then Jackson County was supposed to put in $500 million. So that would be the way that it would normally, that's the way they're talking, that's normally the way these would be done, by selling bonds or using government assets as collateral and build the project. So we want to just contrast this with what the GRT has as a provision for state and local budgets. by pointing out that the way they're doing it now, they have to sell bonds, and the state government is contributing $1 billion, which they're going to get from somewhere. It's going to be a tax somewhere, and either that or they're going to shift things around at the state level to make room for that extra $1 billion. And at the Kansas City level in Jackson County, they're going to have to increase. They're talking about increasing the property tax, and they've already done it. They've had substantial increases for the last couple of years, 40 and 35%, I believe. And if this here um, also gets on there, you can count on another pretty substantial increase in your property taxes. It had to go to a vote, and they voted it on it in Jackson County already, and it was soundly defeated by the Jackson County residents, because they knew that what impact it was going to have on their on their on their real estate taxes. At the state level, again, we don't know where they're going to find that fund. I want you to think about this for a second. If Kansas City now was a local district, taxing district, it then would have access to 9 counties inside the local taxing district for Kansas City. And if it was on the GRT taxing system for projects, I ran the numbers for it to find out just exactly what would happen. The gross domestic product for a Kansas City area, which include nine of these counties, it would amount to $185.7 billion. And if you multiplied that by the gross receipts tax for projects, it would be just use 0.5%. That would end up being $1.8 billion, and the cost of the project's 1.5. Not a big, a targeted amount of money that Jackson County would have to bear by itself. You broaden the base, and everybody who buys anything in Kansas City would be contributing to the project funds and necessary to build that stadium. The nice thing about that is it's not a big burden on anybody in the county, firstly, and secondly, it doesn't it doesn't target anybody. And the other nice thing about this taxing system that has it included in the price of whatever anybody buys is nobody's house is in jeopardy. So using the gross receipts tax, this won't affect anybody personally, except when you buy something. So it doesn't. You don't have to worry about your property tax. You don't have to worry about any other taxes to go and do this. So you're not putting any of your personal assets at risk. Compare that with the gross receipts tax, which I just went through for a second there. If this goes to a taxing district, then everybody who buys anything in that taxing district has an extra 0.5% onto the gross receipts tax for anything they buy, and that's put into a separate interest-bearing account and goes to that project. And when the project's done, it's also paid for, and it spreads the cost over a wide base, and that way nobody's personal assets are at risk, and it's also not onerous to pay for it. We would like you to continue to watch Sitting on the Front Porch. We'll pick up another subject next time. Remember to follow, to like. If you don't like, don't say don't like. Just don't do anything. And if you And if you follow, please follow with a notification and share it with whoever you want and whoever you can. This is a great project and a great program. This and I'll end with this. Um, the Supreme Court Justice in Oregon had this to say. Um, I'm just gonna stay here for just a second. We're not quite done. Um, in Oregon has a gross receipts tax, which they call the kicker tax, and they added it. It wasn't a replacement tax; it was an add-on tax. But I wanted to show you here, or just remind us of how really powerful um, this tax is. And in Oregon, this is what it was. Um, they they had it as an add-on tax, so it didn't replace any other taxes. Um, the rate was just a little over 0.5%. It was it was applied to businesses that were $1 million or greater for gross receipts for the year, and that only accounted for 9% of the businesses in Oregon. So just remember here, just a little over 0.5%, 9% of the businesses. They had it was so powerful that it returned to the government $5.6 billion. Oregonians passed a balanced budget amendment, and so the government was obligated to return the excess money back to the taxpayers, which they did in terms of of the income tax rebate for 2023 of 44.28%. See how powerful this is? That's the gross receipts tax. And I'm going to end with this. The Supreme Court Justice looked over this project with us, and I should put that on a next podcast or next video sometimes. That's a sorry, sordid, sad story in Oregon, but it's worth listening to because you learn a lot from it. The Supreme Court Justice said this. Chief Supreme Court Justice, he said, I read this, even though we can't go to court with it right now because it's not on the docket. That's another story. But in his private chambers, he talked to us and he said, this is the most complete, comprehensive tax program I have ever seen in my life. So remember that when you're thinking about the gross receipts tax, at least somebody thinks it's worthwhile. And I want you to think that it's worthwhile. Please go to our website. The website is taxliberty.org. Make comments, and you can even press a button there that says, how can I help? Thank you very much for listening, and appreciate you sitting on the front porch. We're not quite there yet, but we will be. Thanks. Bye.